This is our first episode. I'm really not sure what this is going to be, but I want to start a podcast, something that's kind of casual. You know what? We should introduce ourselves. So, my name is Hi,
Yeah.
and this is Ben.
My name is Ben.
Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Okay, yeah. My name is Ben. I'm in the accounting industry. More specifically, I do corporate taxation from an international perspective for inbound clients. And so that means corporate clients from outside of Canada coming into Canada. We handhold them, guide them, and kind of introduce them to the world of Canadian taxation and make sure they're abiding by the laws of our jurisdiction.
Okay, neat. So,
And yourself, Hi.
thanks, Ben. I do something similar, just going the other way.
Okay.
I do U.S. taxation of Canadian companies. Actually, I think technically we do both ways as well. So we go both ways. Companies within Canada looking to transfer into the U.S. as well as companies from the U.S. looking to move into Canada. But periodically we do rely on experts such as yourself. So...
As do we rely on individuals like yourself.
Great. I did have a discussion with my company about some of this stuff, right?
Okay.
So this will be really good because then it can help us establish what it is that we want to talk about and going forward what it is that we should be talking about. So I was hoping the first episode you can help me brainstorm and figure out, okay, so I have the corniest name for this podcast. It's going to be HiHaiTalkTime.
HiHaiTalkTime.
What do you think?
I mean, as far as names go, it's not very descriptive of the general discussions that we might be having, but we don't know what that'll be yet. So, it's a plainer name, so it's kind of humorous.
Yeah. That's what I was going for, something simple.
I guess it's a throwback to our university days when...
Yeah.
So, if people don't already know, his name is Hi, H-A-I, Nguyen. And so when you're at university, everyone would refer to him as Hi.
Yeah.
That's the idea behind it. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
So I still
like
get
it.
that a lot.
I get it. Oh,
yeah.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
I guess upon every introduction.
Yes, and it's usually a pretty good conversation starter.
You know the best part about that name is the way you handle it. Having heard that joke probably from every single individual you've ever met, you can still grow a smile on your face.
Over several thousand times. Well, I'm hoping that will be the tone we'll be able to carry forward. Very, very positive
Can I ask,
tone.
Is it still actually funny? Or do you do it just because it's the impression you want to leave in the beginning is one of acceptance?
You know what? I actually haven't thought about it, but sometimes it actually does bring a smile to my face, depending on the circumstances. Because then you want to be in a positive place, right? So, you said similar, earlier, is that when we're dealing with people, it's much easier to kind of feed them sugar, as opposed to something sour, right? So that's the better approach to kind of take, But
for you, it comes out sincerely. You're not even thinking about the sugar or the sour.
Well, no, not really. But I also enjoy meeting a lot of people. Like one of the things that I've tried to do over the last year is a lot of business development, as you know, and meeting people. At first, I would say could be a little bit of a scary experience, but the more you do it, it really is more enjoyable. Yeah. And you meet lots of people. I mean, some of them are not going to be memorable. They're going to come and go. And then others, for whatever reason, they're going to be very, very interesting to you. And it's just kind of, I don't know, I don't want to use randomly happen. It's a little bit serendipitous how it comes about. And, and if you're able to create a good rapport, I'm not sure if it would even create business relationships. They might be someone really cool that you might just want to grab a beer with one day, right? So,
well, I guess that's the best part about meeting someone new is every single person, you'd hope at least, brings to the table their own kind of unique story.
Right.
Even amongst financial people.
Right. And so that's the one thing I'm gripping with. Should we make this a financial show? Where, and if we do, how technical? Like, do you want to get into where we start talking about codes and regs and acts and...
I would love for this not to be a technical show.
Right, yeah.
On the basis that hopefully we actually have something else to talk about in our lives.
Oh, no, for sure. Right?
But to the extent that doesn't happen, I'm sure just given the fact that, you know, we work 40 to 50 hours a week in this business construct, I think it's just going to happen naturally. Right. But to the extent we can, let's avoid it.
Yeah, no, it's great. And then sometimes I think maybe it might be good for us to have like a couple episodes where we geek out and we really do talk about it. But maybe it's kind of stuff that's fresh, like news that just came out, and it's something that you're dealing with at work, and maybe we can talk about it on like a no-name client basis, right? So we can just mention potential issues, go through it, and that's one aspect. But really, I think I would enjoy talking more about just our hobbies, what we're interested in, and just like conversational would be the purpose of this show.
I agree.
Something kind of free-flowing that you can listen maybe before you go to bed or right when you wake up, and it just kind of gets you going. Has a little bit of that positive energy.
You know, well, sometimes when I hear about tax technical regulations, I get going that way too.
Do you really?
A little bit, actually.
Only if I'm reading. You know what? I find that if I'm reading it, I can really actually get interested into that stuff, and I'll read it. And they'll be like, wait, I don't really understand. I'll read it again. And then it's like, oh, this is kind of cool. Whatever it is.
Well, I think people like debating. And debates often, I guess, end up a little bit more... Or people have a higher appreciation for being in the debate when they actually have some background of... or, you know, support for their positions and the arguments that they're taking. And so, especially in the case of Canadian tax, if we can just kind of segue there for a little bit. But I mean, Canadian tax is very principle-based. And we have legislation that is oftentimes worded very unclearly. And so...
On purpose.
Intentionally, I guess. Well, for a lot of it, it is principle-based. And so, you know, different people have not necessarily a different interpretation as to the meaning. But they will have... And every good tax practitioner should formulate an opinion as to the policy objective behind... you know, what each of these tax rules is trying to achieve. Because only in your mind, when you've developed that, I guess, tax scheme of what they're trying to achieve, do you kind of get an understanding of how all these rules are operating together and what each of these rules specifically is intended to achieve.
The funny thing about that is once you get to that level where you see that, you can take it from country to country. And the rules will mirror, because regardless of how it's written, how it's said, some are said longer than the others, such as in the US. They take a lot more time to say something similar to various Canadian rules. But the goal of the taxation is very similar.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because you come from, I mean, so for the audience that don't know, me and Hi went to university together, and we both graduated from the accounting program. And so part of that, the CA process, or what's now known as the CPA, is taking or learning about Canadian tax rules. And so when you learned eventually your U.S. tax rules, did you learn it, I guess, almost by analogy?
Yes and no. Only because the U.S. rules are written really, really differently. A lot of it, I would say yes, because they have so much parallel between their rules. It's just written in... I would say mastering U.S. tax is a little bit more difficult just because the way the country developed, and you can see that in some of the rules where they'll have like essentially the similar of a dead link. So if you've ever been on a website and you click on somewhere and then it just takes you to a dead page, that's how the U.S. tax code can work, where they'll have rules that are leading in one direction, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, and it's likely political office change, they will just drop it. And then you're looking for answers, and then it's like you reach this dead link and you're like, okay, well, I guess I have to go about looking for it another way. For example, a lot of memos that you might have read will say that there's no clear definition of a U.S. trade or business. But there are. There's two of them. One for transfer pricing purposes, and then one for general tax purposes. But the definition in the general doesn't make any sense, because all it refers to is a public office, which is, let's say, for example, the U.S. government, right? So there's a lot of controversy about that, and maybe this is too early for us to kind of step into that. But there are sometimes dead links, and it's based on, I would say, political party changes, and then all of a sudden they're steering it in a very different direction.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, no, I see your point there.
Yeah. So what do you think about mini-series on particular topics? Like, if we were to do one, like based on not really our particular expertise. So wealth management, for example. Like, it's something that even though we're in the space, I would say I don't know that well.
Right.
What about yourself?
I know nothing. And so, but are you intending to, I guess, bring in a specialist in that field to discuss this topic with us?
Yeah.
Or is the idea we have two idiots who don't know anything about wealth management discuss it?
We could, but maybe we should do something. Like, for example, read a book and do some research, and then we can kind of talk about it a little bit
almost
intelligently.
like Toastmasters.
Wait, well, sort of, except we're not really going up and making a speech and something. But I mean, like, explore fields that you're interested in. This is one that I think we should be interested in, because I would say up to this point, we're pretty bad with our money.
I don't care about money.
Right, well, yeah, I would
All
say.
I need is tax.
Yeah, so one of the things is that practitioners in the space may not always be good with their money, and I'm not talking about anyone other than us.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, and the other thing is, what if we do a sub-series on Street Fighter?
Okay, yeah, no.
Yeah.
And that would be interesting, because we both used to play the game.
Right.
And I don't know that we could talk about that for an entire episode.
You'd be surprised, right? Once you start, because there's multiple titles. I played 4 a lot. I got into 4 quite a bit.
Okay.
You were into Marvel vs. Capcom 2?
I played a little bit of Street Fighter versus Capcom. Or is it SNK versus Capcom?
I thought it was version 2. Oh, okay. And what about Third Strike? Did you ever play
Third? Yeah, okay, you're right.
Yeah.
I played multiple versions of it.
Right, yeah. So I don't think we have a problem. Yeah. Which is even more impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was ranked top 10 internationally. Well, North America, actually, for a bit.
Well, that's a huge achievement.
It's
right?
It's nothing.
Yeah. So, in this new construct of this World Wide Web, what do you think is an important quality to have? Because the thing is, it's so hard to stop your personal brand, and it includes everything, right? So I'm kind of jumping all over the place now. But when I say personal brand, I mean everything that you do collectively now is really, it appears online. Let's say your social network through Facebook.
Right.
Your professional network through LinkedIn.
Right.
And you might have various other apps for communication purposes.
You're right. Everything is linked these days.
Right.
And I can attest to that, because when I was getting my new phone today.
Yeah. Oh, what phone did you get?
I got the iPhone 6.
Okay.
But I got it not really to get the iPhone 6.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the iPhone. I have an iPhone 4S right now, but primarily the resale value from, I guess, discussions with you and some of my other colleagues.
Okay.
It allows you to, I guess, exchange this phone for any other phone in the market because of the way the iPhone doesn't appreciate. So that's really the reason why I got it.
Okay. But in case you want to test other phones?
In case, well, I mean, I am personally interested in trying out an Android type phone.
Okay.
I know the Samsung comes out with a new phone every year, but right now Samsung 5 is at the end of its life.
Absolutely.
So it's not exactly the best time to get it.
Yeah, I agree.
So the plan is, keep the iPhone until the Samsung S6 comes out. I'll purchase that. But anyways, that's a bit of a sidebar. The main point I was trying to get at is, when I was, and I'm sure every single individual who ever gets a new phone and has to restore their contacts, they encounter the situation where all their contacts are on one application. They try to get to the next. They have to download like multiple different programs. You've got the iCloud, you've got your Gmail, you've got your Lotus Notes. They're all kind of up in space in the cloud, and they connect somehow and they talk to each other. But everything is linked ultimately. So I was looking at my contact today. Some of my contacts have street address information. I've never been to this guy's place of work. I don't know where he lives.
Yeah.
It's linked to my Facebook.
Yeah.
I've got phone numbers for people on my Facebook. I've got, people that I've never talked to over the phone. I have their number somehow.
Yeah.
And so, you're right. Everything on the web is linked. And I guess back to your question about, personal brand and managing.
Yeah.
how that, well, I mean, I guess maybe that we should step back a bit to what your actual question is.
Yeah.
Is there a fear from your perspective of that personal brand and your many kind of different influences in your life,
Right.
Affecting each individual kind of stakeholder which has a piece of you? For example, let's say your work, or for example, this podcast side project,
right.
It has a stake in you, and you have a stake in each of these things.
Right. Absolutely.
So is the fear that, as your brand and your different directions that you choose to live, is there a fear that these can't all mesh together?
Well, I don't know if it's a fear, but then you kind of have to steer clear of certain things, I think, right? Like, especially, like, for example, if you work for a media company, can you really make a podcast? I'm not sure. I'm not sure the answer to that, but the answer might be no, right? Because if you work for a media company, and let's say even worse, you work for a media company and you do a morning show and you're on the air all the time, would something like a podcast on the side be appropriate? The answer is probably no, right? So there's probably...
I think it could be debatable.
Okay.
I mean, there's...
it depends how smart you are and what you negotiate, right, with your contract.
Well, there's certain people in the media that are hired particularly because of their personality and the brand that they have. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, there's certain sports personalities or comedians that can do multiple things. Like
Absolutely.
Rogan.
Right.
He'd be an example, a good example of...
Oh, but he doesn't care. He doesn't care about his personal brand. His personal brand is that I don't care. I'm going to go and do this because I want to do this. And it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks.
And they like him because, did he originate as a comedian?
Well, no, I think he started out as a fighter first. The way his career went was, I think he was, so he used to get picked on a lot when he was a kid.
Okay.
So then I'm going to get most of this wrong, but anyways, when he was something like 15 through 19, he joined a martial arts school or several schools, and then he really got into it, working out, and he thought about it almost obsessively. Sort of like the way that we used to play jits. I remember this one night at university where we started playing just after dinner. So we grabbed dinner, we went back to... what was our... Mackenzie King.
Yeah.
And then we started playing at 7.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, we decided to go through all night. So we played up until the point where our classmates got up. And they're like, oh, you guys got up early. Do you want to come to class? And then we're like, oh, shoot, it's class time already? And we ended up playing for literally all through the night, a good 16 hours, and we didn't even notice. It was just like, wow, did you feel that it's been 16 hours?
For me personally, no, because I was actually surprised that you would be able to last that long. For me, I was just learning jits, so it's one of those things where if you see subtle improvements, you're motivated to keep improving.
I think for me, it's I enjoy teaching, so that's a huge part of what I do, right? Like I like people that want to grow and like to grow,
and because of the significant improvement that I was making,
clearly,
exactly. So,
but I felt it in class.
That
wasn't a good class. I'm pretty sure I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, and so the lesson we learned was, next time you do this, just you don't go to the class.
Right.
What's the point, right?
Exactly. So, but it brings back, because if you're sincerely interested and you've got this strong passion for whatever it happens to currently be, you're going to succeed. Because really, you don't stop. Right?
Yeah, I guess if we were to make the stronger analogy, for example, it's if you do something that you're passionate about and you see improvement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then I think that's what will likely drive you to continue doing it.
Right. There's that. There's seeing improvement, but for everything that you do, there's a point where you get frustrated.
Right.
Because you're going to get there.
And you hit that plateau.
Right. And you're going to get frustrated. And when you get there, it's very much like learning a language or whatnot. But the key to it is to kind of keep on tracking.
That's
and
true.
Keep on moving forward, because then you won't notice your incremental benefit or your incremental improvement, but when you reflect as a whole, you'll be like, oh wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Take this podcast for instance. I would imagine that after today's episode, we might only attract maybe about only 1,000 listeners.
Oh, 1,000! I was gonna say it'd be great if we had 2.
Well, exactly. And so, I guess based on that, are we going to be a results-driven podcast, or can we be satisfied by the mere production of it? And I guess from this, as amazing and planned out as this production was, the next one, I guess we should probably base it on how we see or how our internal thoughts are about the production value of the next one.
Okay, cool.
You know?
So the way that I'm trying to grasp and move forward with all this is that the aim is to be consistent and not stop. You think we can do one a week from now until forever?
I think one a week might be well, and I think it depends on our goals, right?
Right.
Are we aiming to just have a podcast?
Okay, well, I'll cut straight to it.
Okay.
No, you don't have to do it during busy season. We'll cut it down to once a month, okay?
Right. Well, it depends what your interest is. If you think we can produce a quality program once a week and there's material to discuss once a week, I'm all for it.
But why? Because the purpose of doing this, I would say, is just going to have a really nice conversation, catch up with people that we enjoy talking to once a week. So we're never going to know. And that's why I want it to flow, right? Like, I don't want to get into the search where we're looking for guests, we don't have enough guests, we don't have enough material, but what's the point? And the best thing about having something that we do generally control is that we can do that and just bring on, people that we like or people that are willing to come on and sort of discuss whatever the various issues that they want to talk about that's important.
Right. Okay. I'm for it.
Well, if you can make an effort once a week.
I think so.
Once a week, right?
I think so.
It's going to be funny because once we get to episode 52, we can look back and see.
And we'll hire someone to go through all of our accumulated podcasts.
Can we afford to hire someone?
But I don't know exactly what the how does this get monetized exactly?
We don't have actually. I'm pretty sure for work purposes.
I
don't think we can really monetize, except for that it grows our personal branding, and then if you're able to monetize it indirectly through getting known for it, then
how do I guess the famous podcast people do they? Is that just like a kind of a brand awareness? Is this kind of like is podcast really a means of marketing their brand with or do they get
some people are like that and they can
and,
they can go various streams, but I'm pretty sure the deal that you and I have set up is that we make any money we have to fork it over to our respective firms. I think so. It's probably in your contract, but you can double check. I haven't taken a look, so that's so I'd rather just stay away from monetization. Right, but we can always think about it and see where things go.
We're talking like big dollars here.
Maybe $5 a month. So that's one potential, right? I don't know. Maybe the YouTube and the way that the world is going, people are able to make money on the most bizarre thing. There's this one girl. Her name is Margaret Adams. Look her up on YouTube.
But for those of us who have just recently had their phones disconnected and moved to a new phone. And as I can tell here, the last I spoke to my service provider, I would be getting access likely 30 minutes ago. I don't have access. Well, at least my access on this phone is working, so I'm assuming the access on my new phone.
I'll show you. I'll show you in a bit. But what Margaret Adams does is she just stares into a screen. That's it. So she creates a short clip for about 35 seconds. Actually, she appeals to Japanese people. So what that means is she'll make like a cute face. Something like this. And she'll stare. And then she gets...
Redefining the word cute.
Right. Well, I'm sure, I may have offended some people, right? But so she does that, and she'll get like 12 million hits, 15 million hits. I don't know how much that translates into real world dollar. No, Margaret Adams. I can't remember her YouTube tag. Her screen tag name or whatever, but you can look it up, Margaret Adams, right? And that's it's so weird. And some of the other examples are people just kind of go on and they'll do what you used to do. You used to play a lot of StarCraft.
One of those games. I used to play games, right?
Yeah, so people will actually just film their games and they'll just chat and commentate, and they'll do it for like a good 3 to 8 hours, post it online.
And we actually had a discussion about this the other day. Sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
I think there's a famous gamer named like PewDiePie or PewDiePie or something.
There's something like that,
I'm not sure. Anyways, the number of subscriptions that he has is I don't know, like 50 million or something crazy, some crazy amount.
Yes.
And you're right, all they do is, and
Yeah.
especially,
Yeah.
yeah, like, I mean, they, generally speaking, they start off being well known in the community for their expertise in the game.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then from there, they become commentators or streamers.
Right.
And they provide entertainment value in the streams they do. So I do believe that, I mean, I agree with you. Sometimes it is based on, you know, they're just naturally whimsical. Other times, I think the highest subscribed people are ones that actually have high quality kind of production. Type channels.
Yeah, no, absolutely, right. But for those people, it kind of got there, but they probably start off with a low quality, and then eventually when they start to make a lot of money, they end up with a studio room such as this. Oh, we have to thank Decentral TV for loaning us the space so that we can do what we're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's the passion. It comes back. Like, let's say if in the midst, when you were the top 10 Street Fighter player.
Right, in North America.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not internationally, right? Yeah. So I don't know how really good you were, right?
You're right. I wasn't that good.
But when you were there and you had that level of expertise, which is pretty hard to achieve, if you had created your show, you could have potentially gotten quite a good fan following, right?
And you're right. And I think it depends. And I'm sure there are people who are in the Street Fighter community, and they may do this.
Yeah. Or they're already doing that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if you still follow the Street Fighter scene, but
I do. 4 right now.
I think the main issue. Well, and again, I guess it depends on what you're trying to achieve, but I think the market base for a game like Street Fighter just is not going to be as big as, for example, a game like League of Legends.
Right.
Which is, I mean, this year is one of the. I mean, they had. Well, I guess last year they did it at the Staples Center.
Right.
This year they sold out. I think they did a tournament in some pretty big Taiwanese stadium, and then in the finals in Korea.
Right.
Anyways, I think the viewership was around 32 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's more than the Super Bowl.
That's amazing.
Right. So I mean, when you have the top players in, you know, that respective game with those types of viewership numbers, and you're the best in the world. And what they do is they don't go on YouTube. They get some subscription with, like, if you heard of Twitch or Zubu, they're like streaming services, and they just go on a run, play games, and they talk during their games. Oftentimes, they don't even say anything entertaining at all. Right. People are just watching them for their immediate game knowledge.
And that's the other thing I notice through a lot of this social media. The level of playing has improved significantly. Because at one point in time, when I was in Halifax and I was playing Street Fighter, if I play online, I improve very, very quickly.
Right.
Because then you actually get real world exposure to really good players.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
And, well, I mean, again, I guess I think it kind of depends on what market are we actually going for here? Because I think the model, obviously we can't achieve the same things that they are.
Sure. Well, here's the problem with targeting a specific market that I don't really want to do. Let's say we pick the financial market, and we then say we're going to make a professional show. It's going to be professional. We're going to have professional language, or we're going to have professionals on. We're only going to talk about certain things. It's going to be a very curated experience. Right? And then we don't meet any of our goals. Right? So financially, let's just pretend we didn't have jobs and we had financial targets and whatever. It's going to be horrible. We're doing it for all the wrong reasons. Do you kind of get where I'm getting at? So maybe that person that would stream Street Fighter anyways, it doesn't matter to them what else is going on. It's kind of like they really enjoy it. So why don't we just do something that we really enjoy?
It's a purpose test here.
Well, it is, yeah.
There may be many purposes, but what is the primary purpose for us doing this? And it cannot be financially motivated because...
we can at the time being.
Well, 1,000 subscribers to our show isn't really going to get us anything.
Really? Well, actually, I think the number that you need is 100,000 fans. Because I think 100,000 fans...
Well, let me tell you a real life story.
Okay.
My friend is kind of going through, and...
okay. This is a good one.
Well, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
But we'll see, actually. So, you're familiar with Simple Pickup?
Yeah.
So they're that YouTube channel group of guys.
Yeah.
I think based in Los Angeles, and they go to I think some school there.
Yeah.
And I mean, all they do is they're three somewhat average, somewhat nerdy guys, and they YouTube or videotape themselves picking up chicks.
Okay.
And they do it in kind of a variety of funny scenarios. Sometimes they'll use only like rap song lines or Harry Potter lines. Right?
Yeah.
Anyways, if you go to their YouTube channel, I think they have somewhere in the vicinity of 3 million subscribers.
Right.
And so from that subscriber base, they've offered exclusive membership-only content.
Yeah.
And let's say they do this at like $5 or $10 a month.
Right.
And you'd have to imagine that their target market is single guys. Single guys would be willing to pay $5 if it provides them with real kind of I guess knowledge on how to pick up women for people who are showcasing their ability to do it.
Oh, right, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I have a friend who, at one point or another, he did some filming in Toronto, and he asked me if, I think a friend of his asked if I wanted to kind of like partake and tag along, wingman, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, this guy, and we're using the term pickup, and that's a debate on its own.
Right.
On whether, it's appropriate, inappropriate. Really, I mean, what he's doing here is, like the idea behind these shows is just to enable guys to kind of approach these scenarios with some amount of confidence, just given the way, it's how to, the strategy behind to talk to a woman, not necessarily too aggressively pick them up. But anyways, I digress. The point of this story was, he's hitting that subscriber base of around 20,000 now. And, it's nothing compared to 2 million. But if you think that, if we take a very conservative number of people who are watching and like his show, I think his subscribers are actually more like closer to 50,000.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we'll say 50,000 people. We'll take a very conservative number of, say, 1% of those people subscribe for $5 a month. Like, we're talking, $250,000 a year annually. Right?
That's amazing.
And I did that math totally wrong, but there's a significant amount of money that he's going to be making if only a conservative amount of 1% earn it, right? And so the question that was posed to me from there is, what is his?
Sorry,
Just checking the time.
Yeah.
It's what is his taxation now in the world. See that segue that I just brought it back? Picking up girls into tax because he's facing a real issue, right?
Yeah.
He travels the world to
that's very complicated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? So
I think what he does might actually trigger a lot of potential international taxation.
Especially if he, decides to incorporate.
Yeah.
There are those own rules. Is he going to qualify for small business deduction? Is he a CCPC?
Right.
I don't know that he would meet that. I think he might be a personal services kind of corporation.
Right.
Potentially. I don't know.
Yeah, because then he'd have to hire at least 5 employees.
Yeah. So, I don't know, given what he does.
Yeah.
But I do know that he is in the U.S. for more than 183 days of the year. Right? So as soon as you...
That causes issues.
And I know he also spends time in Europe.
Right.
And so, just something as simple as starting your own YouTube channel.
Right. Maybe you should help him. You should probably assist him in that because he probably owes a lot of taxes that he doesn't know. And the problem with making that kind of money and not realizing it is he might overspend.
Well, he hasn't done it yet.
Yeah.
He hasn't offered up membership status yet.
Oh, okay,
and it's a good thing that we're having those discussions. We are having those discussions now.
Yeah.
But those are real considerations. And I think that's something we're probably going to have to think about really soon as well.
You think?
Given, how successful we're going to be.
And if we are successful, if we never monetize, it's never an issue.
Oh, so I guess that's a secondary, a plausible solution is just to forgo, we've assumed away the question when you have no income.
Right.
There's no taxes to be paid. It's true.
Yeah, no taxes to be paid. But the other thing is we'd have to enjoy this and have a ridiculous viewership and it's so much that we can actually step away from doing...
How do they tax that benefit to us? That intrinsic joy?
I don't
The
think
government can take everything from us.
Yeah. I don't
Including
think it's
our joy.
taxable. I don't think it's taxable. At least yet.
That's better than money.
Yeah. Okay. Going back.
Yeah.
What else do you think we can talk about?
You mean like other topics?
Because other topics. Because one of the things that you're into more recently is rock climbing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Can
you
tell
know
me
what? I
about
mean,
that?
I guess not just rock climbing, but I think every person struggles with different ways of staying in shape, and especially as you get older.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not really getting older myself, but I know
Right.
you are.
Oh, of
you're having
course.
those problems, right? So,
There's this really I'm gonna forget the name of the device, but there's this really cool device, and it was
Fitbit.
no,
No.
it was at the CIX conference. Actually, I ended up picking up one,
Okay.
but it's called iHeart.
Yeah.
So you take it. You take it and you clip it onto your finger, and it reads your pulse through your finger, and then it'll be able to measure the way that your I'm going to get this all wrong, but the way that your heart beats, it can tell how old you are.
Oh, what?
Yeah, which is really how old you currently are at that particular time, and then it'll give you your age, your heart age, and then you can kind of figure out something to do with it. So you can, let's say, for example, eat better, and then you can measure what the changes are from day to day at the same time. You could potentially get, it does happen, right? Because if you're working busy season and you end up doing nothing and eating potato chips all the time, and you do 16 hours.
Quote unquote heart age could be increased.
Right.
And then maybe you can decrease it back to a normal level.
Yeah, it's based on scientific facts, and it was created by a doctor, and it was proven, and the individual that I was speaking to was really nice. Her name was Sarah, but I don't remember the details. I'm going to get it all wrong. So if you're listening, you're interested, please just go check it out on your own, because I'm butchering everything.
What do we check out?
It's called iHeart.
iHeart. Okay.
iHeart. Very, very interesting young company.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's kind of
They
cool.
made the top 20 CIX list.
And what's CIX?
So CIX, I can't remember the acronyms, but they're a technology conference that was hosted. And this is going to look really bad, right? But whatever, it's live, so it's going as is.
You know what? If it's coming from you, I know it's a reputable source.
Right. Okay. I'm just going to look up CIX so I can let everyone know what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know how
you're going to have to carry us for the next few seconds.
Well, I was going to say, you know how I know I need to get in shape is, you know when your shirt starts to wrinkle up and make these little hills on your shirt? I'm getting this a lot, and I can clearly see that yours isn't doing that, so.
Canadian Innovation Exchange. So I did something. Last year, after I left Deloitte, it was about, I think, just right after busy season, May 1st. So I left Deloitte, and I went on a little bit of a soul journey. So I started off with figuring out what type of foods I should eat, because I figured that's very, very important. I went on various... it is.
What you eat.
So I tried, let's say, I kept an open view, and I was like, I'm going to devote some time for me to do this. And at the time that I left, it was just after a busy season, so you tend to be a little bit overweight anyways. But I was probably at the highest weight that I've been in a while, like 185 pounds. So it wasn't too healthy, right? So I tried a couple of diets. No, not very good. So I tried the Atkins diet, was one, right?
Okay.
And it works. I can tell you, it works. But for the first 4 days, you feel like crap.
Is the Atkins diet the one where you only eat protein and you just forgo carbs?
Pretty much everything except for proteins.
Okay, right. Yeah.
And so it worked, but I felt like I couldn't get out of bed. I felt miserable. I was angry at everyone.
Right.
So that came to a pretty quick halt.
Well, what I heard is, how long did you try this for?
It only lasted, I would say, about a week and a half. Week and a half is probably pushing it.
Do you think that's fair to the Atkins diet that you only gave it a week and a half? Though?
Well, for about that entire time, I felt like crap.
3 weeks for your body to kind of
adjust. Absolutely. But my logic was, if I'm feeling this bad, why continue? It shouldn't be a suffering process.
Your body will adjust to it.
Well, sure. That's
like
like saying
you ate McDonald's every day.
Okay, or that's like saying if I throw you in jail, you'll adjust to it. It might take you years, but whatever. Let's just do it.
You probably would.
Yeah, I probably would. So your body would eventually adjust to it. But I figured doing it quickly and dropping it was probably a good thing. So I did drop it. Okay. And then
it's not for everyone.
It isn't. It isn't, right? And for everyone that it does work for, good for you. Like, good for you. Because, I mean, like, it's really an exploration phase where you kind of go through and you try different diets. And if you're able to keep it and it works for you, that's great. If you can eat junk food and you look great and feel great, good for you.
Oh, well.
So I ended up going and I tried the one that ended up, I tried some other diet. There was one that was just like water, some type of cayenne pepper and then lime. I was like, that one lasted even less.
Is that the Gillian Anderson's one?
I have no idea where I found it, but it lasted for about 3 days. And then after that, I was like, screw it. I like started to really just dislike water. I was walking by, it's like, no, you will not damage me, right? So that one went pretty quickly, and I started to go slow down, and I watched various TED Talks and YouTube videos, and one of the things that seemed to work was veggie juice. So I tried veggie juice, and that actually did work. It was consistent, it was easy, and I found that it just made me feel better, like more energy, and it had like a lot of positive effects.
Did you juice your own veggie juice?
Yeah, I did. And at the beginning, I made a lot of really bad combinations. Like some of them, I drank half and I threw out the rest. Bad tasting.
Oh, okay.
Very, very healthy, but you got to find that balance.
Right.
So the one that's been consistent and works, and I'm able to drink it every morning at this point, is let's say kale tends to be pretty bitter, so I'll put less kale, but some type of green base. So either kale, lettuce, spinach.
Right.
Something sweet, an apple, banana, so on, and cucumbers. So I'll put like a big chunk of cucumber in and then just blend that. And it works, and I have more energy. Some of these days now, I probably spend total working. Like today, my day today started at 5 a.m. I got up, I had to prepare for a presentation that I was doing. It was the same day, but anyways, so I had prepared some of it the previous night. I just made it good.
Wow.
Went into the office, started working on some other stuff.
Yeah.
And then I had to, so then we had like this all day training session.
Right.
Did my presentation. I had a meeting with some of the people here and then at Mars, so went to that.
Yeah.
There's actually something really exciting, but I probably shouldn't mention anything about that.
Okay. Sounds like it'd be confidential, but...
Okay, anyways. So after that, I went back, finished off the training, and now I'm here. I still feel pretty good, right? That's a decent amount of energy. And I find just...
What time did you sleep last night?
1.
Holy.
Yeah, so I had like 4 hours of sleep, but it's not too bad, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like to get you through these days, definitely got to eat right. You got to eat right. So
what we got to do is we got to take that recipe of your juice, put like a really strong dude behind it who's got energy, any washed up sports star, and just go from there.
It's an existing diet. Really, it's called the 80-10-10. It basically just advocates eating fruits and veggies. It's not for everyone, and even I can't follow it, right? So I'll still eat at least one protein meal a night. So I mean,
shame.
Exactly.
You're the worst.
Yeah. But when I do eat fruits for lunch, I find there's no itis, right? You don't get that tired, sleepy feeling after lunch where you're like not productive for a good hour and a half.
Right.
Yeah. So that's
technical term.
Yeah.
Itis, right? Medical.
Clearly, right? We should have some on and ask them if that is a technical term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when they say no, we'll banish them for being quacks.
Clearly. Because we're experts, we're professionals in this particular field. And then the next thing, going back to what you're talking about, working out, right? Like, it's really important to exercise. Lately, I haven't been, but for that period when I did quit, I got into a pretty good groove where I ran like every...
You were doing some really experimental kind of nutrition.
Yeah, I was.
Or at least different from the normal individual. Like I remember you were eating
But there were days where I just ate bananas, and I ate like bananas for like 2 weeks in a row, and then I kind of recorded to see what the consequences of that was.
I do. You know what? I do believe that there's probably a lot to be said about controlling your diet and the foods you put into your body.
Right.
And I guess the hardest part about that is just really it's that mentality.
Yeah.
It's delaying instant gratification because. I mean, I had a delicious lunch today. Okay. It was greasy, it was noodly, had carbs and meat, and I had the same type of meal the day before and the day before. And all you can think about when you're hungry is instant gratification.
Oh, for sure.
You don't think about the later effects of how you'll feel immediately after. I mean, that's obvious, but I guess it's
Until you try it. Once you try it, you see the benefit. But you still have to get out of this little bit of a social norm thing, right? Because it's a little bit unusual. It's one of the reasons why I haven't been eating in my calf lately.
It's because all you have is a bushel of bananas with you.
Yeah, or something like that, right? It's kind of like, it's weird. And then I get into the conversation with everyone. I'm just like, oh, forget it, I'm going to go eat in my office.
Do you have that, that Kate Moss quote comes to mind, nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. And I know you're not going after the skinny.
Right, I'm just going after healthy.
Exactly. So it's the feeling, is that what you kind of associate with this food? Like maybe, and I guess you do like it, but part of it is, maybe I don't like it, but the feeling I'm going to get from eating this all day is going to be insurmountable.
Oh, I can't do it. I can't do that because
gratification of eating a McDonald's. Yeah, go on.
So that's what the Atkins diet was for me, right? I was getting skinnier, but I felt like crap. I couldn't do it. Do it. So I think it's a fine balance where you find a diet that makes you feel good and you enjoy it. So I do enjoy eating fruits.
Oh, okay.
They're awesome.
That's right. Yeah, you've always liked those weird fruits.
Okay. So, but that's where it comes into, right? Like if I have cravings, and one of my weaknesses is potato chips.
Okay.
And I do have cravings. So what I do is I'll feed into the craving anyways. So, but less, and I try and eat less. And then I've found over time the cravings disappear as long as you feed it. So you feed the monster, but you feed the monster less.
Yeah.
And then less again, and then less again, and before you know it, it's probably been a good 3 weeks since I've had a bag of chips. But now that we've talked about it, I'm probably going to have one next week. Or even later this weekend.
Right after this show.
Yeah.
We've got a bag of chips.
Potentially, right after our first show. Right? Okay, so health, we're definitely going to touch base on and try and get like some health experts in. And what about...
I know some nutritionists.
I've been hearing through grapevines that you meditate. Wait, no, it's yoga, right?
Is it
yoga?
That is true. I did.
Yeah.
And I guess it stems from rock climbing. I think rock climbing and yoga can go hand in hand. You need a certain amount of flexibility to kind of grab onto certain rocks and bend your... A lot of
rock climbers.
That's right.
Ray's a rock climber. We'll have him on too. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, tons of... Yeah, and so... I think it's that kind of mentality of getting your body in the right kind of physique to do these things is beneficial. So I mean, obviously one of them is you don't see any reputable or well-known rock climbers that are kind of pudgy.
Right.
And I mean the flexibility helps in if you can use your feet to step
This is where someone, depending on how we set this up, we put on YouTube, they'll be like pudgy rock climber with a link.
Oh yeah.
And it'll be this awesome guy, and he's probably like number 3, and they'll be like. Shows you.
That's one of those things you'll never see. You just can't. I mean, I'm pretty pudgy myself, and I struggle. It's just, you just can't do it, man. Especially when the best rock climbers in the world are incredibly strong already. Yeah. And they're, super lean. But anyways.
Do you work out at all to kind of prepare? Because what you actually do is bouldering, right, as opposed to rock climbing.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll say that I do this.
Okay. Can you explain the difference?
Well, so. I don't really know what rock climbing is per se. I would imagine rock climbing is an all-encompassing term of any type of climbing you're doing on some type of wall with rocks on it. Okay. Bouldering is, you don't have a harness attached to you, so these problems are smaller in height. Maybe you will say about 10 feet high to get to the top. Yep. And so a lot more power moves because you don't have to do as many moves to get to the top, but they're powerful and they're strategical in the way you place your body. And so that's bouldering. Then they have top roping where you have a harness. And so you're secured safely. And obviously because you're safe, you can go a lot higher. And they have deep water soling, which is a form of outdoor climbing where you'll climb over a cliff's edge and there's water below you. So when you fall, you can drop safely into there. So and I think they all fit into the definition of rock climbing, and these are all just separate subcategories. Right. But I think your original question was yoga, and I have certainly tried yoga, and not just to check out women, but
of course that is one of the benefits.
You know what? I'll be honest. When I was there, it is so. I did a basic beginners yoga class, and then I did a hot yoga beginners class. Right. And it is just. Well, one, I don't really know what I'm doing in there, so most of my attention is directed towards the instructor. Okay. They also use I don't know what language these words are in. But
I think it's actually like in Indian, some type of Indian
Something
language.
like that, right?
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
obviously, I don't
That's
really
where yoga
understand.
came from.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't really subscribe to the whole yoga mentality or philosophy.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate that, it's a warm room, which I think is good when you're stretching.
Oh yeah.
And I do like the stretching, but
Yeah.
I mean, from a beginner's perspective, to hit these poses when,
Yeah.
I mean, you're dripping sweat, and so it's hard to kind of maintain a pose because you're
Oh
sweating.
yeah. But you feel good after, don't you?
Well, and I don't know how much of this is artificial from the sense that, you just drained yourself of so much liquid that you feel a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
Versus, I mean, you feel good from the perspective that your body's a little bit more limber. You know that stretching's probably got some benefits to it, but yeah.
But don't you feel calm, a little bit at ease almost?
And I think it depends what you're going for.
Yeah.
Like my beginner yoga class that I went to, they, at the very end, I don't know if this is like a commonality in all classes, but they turn off the light, and then some people put a blanket over them. And so when I came out of that class, it was about 8 p.m. that my class finished.
Yeah.
And it felt like I was, on the verge of sleeping. I felt like crap. I don't
yeah,
want to
that's
go
really tiring.
I hate that feeling.
Yeah, I do too. It's kind of like when you nap in the middle of the day and then you wake up and then you're all pissy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I
so
don't
yeah,
want that.
I do yoga and I do power yoga.
Oh, I
I
remember.
go hard the whole way.
I used to
Yeah.
avoid you if you took a nap during the day. I was just like, oh, Ben took a nap. I'm going to go out.
What?
Why?
Why?
Because you're mean when you wake up. No, I'm actually talking about myself, I think.
Oh, you did that?
A
Okay.
little bit. I think anyone who takes a nap, actually, John could have been like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, avoid
Well,
after a nap.
naps in the middle of the day are the worst.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's been some study done. I think I read something like this one
Really?
time. Yeah.
There's an actual study on that?
Yeah, I think it was some study about what naps do to you psychologically.
Oh, okay.
I could be making this up. This is where
Yeah.
someone usually gets on Google and calls me on it.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure we're going
Yeah.
to get called on like 90% of
But
the
there
things
was
that
a
we say.
study done by
Yeah.
Harvard, I believe it was.
Okay.
Yeah,
And this
some
is
really
where you're getting
established-
corrected right now.
Exactly.
As we speak.
And they said, exactly what I just said just now. That naps are bad for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
Okay, cool. Okay. So, recap. We're going to try and talk about everything we're interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll bring along maybe a guest so they
Okay.
can correct us along the way. So,
Okay.
A guest is probably better than having Google.
Although we could.
It's not better than Google, but
Yeah.
I guess from
a conversational perspective.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how a lot of conversations go usually. There's always one guy who talks a little bit of smack that you call him on Google.
Well, you have to. How else is you going to learn?
How else are you going to learn?
Exactly, right? I mean, if
Yeah,
I'm
you're
wrong,
wrong.
if I'm like the one thing that I've learned to try and be is viciously have a goal. Whatever that is, that's your target. You aim for it.
Yeah.
But just remember the path will change and you have to have that vision. So you never get attached onto a certain idea or certain argument along the way, right? So let's say, for example, if your vision is to get to work, right? And I'm calling this flow theory. I've learned to deviate from various traffic, go on side street, figure all sorts of different routes or routes out so that I can get to work quickly.
Right.
And if I have a target now, and let's say, for example, it's to make one marketing pitch,
right,
I will go and do whatever it takes to get that done. But if I discover something is wrong, something isn't working, you try different things,
right,
and then you stop. But it's very much, I think I learned it from this diet approach. You try a couple of things, you find out what works, what doesn't.
Yeah.
You find out, and negotiating. So one of the things that I do is I negotiate for a lot of people with respect to cell phone plans or not. They authorize me to be a representative. And then what I'll do is I'll call in.
Legally.
Right, legally authorize me to be a representative,
right,
and then I'll call in and I'll talk on their behalf.
Right.
Sometimes with them sitting right there, and they're just like, they're amazed. It's how easy, right? And sometimes I'll shave, for some people, depending on how their bill looks, I'll potentially shave 50% off of it.
Is that going to be on your website? The Art of Negotiation?
I don't know. That's definitely something that we should do. Maybe bring in like a negotiator. To
Maybe
talk about
we
that.
should call one of these phone companies and we can negotiate it live.
I'm not sure about that. That's a little bit risky. But
maybe not live.
Yeah.
But maybe it'll happen.
We can make it into an episode.
We can blink out certain words. We
Right.
can do that
Well, yeah.
now. I have a company.
Yeah.
And a situation.
We probably don't have enough time, but I'll definitely help you with their situation. It really depends, right? And this is what I'm getting at, right? So when I do call in, I'm pleasant, very, very pleasant, because you don't win anyone over by being sour.
Yeah,
Right,
sugar's the best medicine.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
So I'm very, very pleasant. I'm very nice, but you can kind of tell the tone. And it really just depends, right? Sometimes if they've had a bad day, right, if they've had a bad day, it's not going to work out. So you just hang up. There's no point in
Life
continuing the
lessons
conversation.
learned with